No, they don't exist like there's not an inherently existent self or inherently existent parts. Because if there were inherently existing parts, as they hit the bardo, those parts would not change into the bardo being's parts, which are different, supposedly, according to scripture. It's a much more subtler type of being. And then it would not change into the a hell being's parts, or a god's parts, or whatever is coming next. Those would hold in existence. It would pretty much be suffering human being existence, suffering human being existence, suffering human being existence. Or the self, the conception of the self having an inherent existence. There'd just be some self floating in the between state and the next state without parts, if the self had an inherent existence. These things these processes function due to past karma being forced on you and by mental designation or mental projection. Unknowable by analogy, peace, not of the fabric of fabrications, non-conceptual, free of distinctions, these are the characteristics of the precise nature. And this is going over exactly what I just said. Independent of mental projection, there ultimately is no phenomena. That does not mean there are no phenomena, but for you, that's all that does a tree fall in the woods? If you did not perceive it, it didn't happen for you. The fundamental nature, emptiness, although we're talking in words here right now, it is beyond words. It is beyond conceptualization. It is inexpressible. You can get close to it by studying it. You can have pointers to having a direct. You can build up a mental image from the various classes studying emptiness and debates about emptiness, and then that in deep meditation can be smashed. You can build up a mold and then break it and have a direct perception of emptiness. Jaitzong Kappa expresses this, that it's not that there's no use for learning. If the present and the future depended on the past, then the present and the future would exist in the past. Master Nagarjuna composed this chapter as a response to those people who claim that things exist because the three times exist. Past, present, and future are mere appearances. They're dependently originated. You can't know the past unless you know the present. You can't know the present. You can't know the future unless you know the present. These things have no inherent nature. If their dependent relationship had an inherent existence, then the present, which depended on the past, would be in the past. If the past were an inherently existent basis for the present, and they had this inherent existent relationship, then all of the present and the future would have to exist in the past. If the cause and the result were one, then the producer and produced would be the same thing. If cause and result were different, then causes and non-causes would be equivalent. Sequentially, you cannot say a cause came before a result sequentially, because you cannot have a cause before a result. A cause only exists in relationship to a result. If cause and result were of the same nature, they would be the same thing. If they were inherently differently natures, then they would have no place to meet. They would have an inherent existence. They wouldn't be able to be a cause or an effect for each other. They wouldn't have a relationship, because they would be inherent phenomena. They would not change. Then both causes and non-causes would have the same effect. You would have sprouts growing in the air. There would be no reason for having the proper causes for results. Particularly, the dependent relationship of cause and effect. What Master Nagarjuna is getting at here, it doesn't happen the way that you think it does. You put a seed in the ground, it sprouts up into a sprout. What Master Nagarjuna is saying here, yes, there's a dependent relationship there, but that dependent relationship has no inherent existence. Ultimately, for that sprout to sprout up for you, you have had to collect certain seeds in your mental continuum. The last moment of the seed and the first moment of the sprout were the same thing, then the cause and the result would be the same thing. And if the last moment of the seed and the first moment of the sprout were different things, they would be totally different from each other, and they would have no connection. They would have an inherent existence. Emergence and decay cannot logically be the same thing. Emergence and decay cannot logically be different things. In the Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha said, "O Bodhisattvas of shining intelligence, form does not die, and their form is not born. This gets into phenomena that are mutually inclusive or mutually exclusive. If phenomena are mutually exclusive, they can't have a direct inherent relationship. You can only know light by knowing dark, but light and dark are opposites, so that you couldn't call those two phenomena mutually inclusive.